don't think about it that much, but the numbers are pretty overwhelming. Yeah.
What makes a champion tennis player?
What makes a champion? Anything. It's the same old. Champions don't quit until they get it right. They're the first ones in the gym and the last ones to leave, and they're not afraid to fail.
Grand Slam titles, once-in-a-generation talent, sold-out arenas, and defining cultural moments that reshaped the sport. And yet, even she wasn't prepared for what she's witnessing now. A 20-year-old from the Philippines taking Indian Wells 2026 by storm, drawing crowds so massive that fans are pressed up against the fences just to catch a glimpse of her during practice. How far does Alex Eala go at Indian Wells 2026? Quarterfinals? Semifinals? Or something nobody saw coming? Leave your prediction in the comments.
Hey, I'm Alex. I just finished my practice and come spend the day with me at Tennis Paradise. I've only dreamed of making tennis grow in the Philippines, and now I'm bringing a whole new audience to tennis all around the world.
And she's humble and she works hard.
Humble.
Yes. That's why we like her, because she's the face of the Philippines.
Just aside from her talent, she's also thinking of the future.
The Filipinos we have such a strong sense of community, and I feel like when one of us does well or one of us is succeeding, we all have that shared sense of pride.
So when Eala plays, we all get together and we all watch her support her as a group of people.
Are there actual gatherings?
Oh yeah,
yes.
Really? Oh yeah.
Okay.
It's
We plan our dinners around that stuff.
Really? You signed up for Tennis Channel to watch her?
Yeah, because sometimes they don't show it.
So the year subscription, just in case.
The monthly.
Oh, the monthly. Okay.
The monthly, just in case she doesn't play, then we don't. All right? You only pay when she plays. It's paid to play.
My friends will tell me that the courts are full at home and just so many things that I didn't think would happen because of what I'm doing on tour. So.
Let's talk about the image that's currently breaking the internet and apparently overwhelming the organizational capacity of the Indian Wells Tennis Garden. Practice Court 6. Not a match court, not a stadium, a practice court, and it has completely lost its mind. Fans are pressing through the fences of adjacent courts just to catch a glimpse of Alex Eala hitting balls during a warm-up session before a single competitive point has even been played. Christopher Eubanks, a former ADP professional who has been around this sport long enough to know what normal looks like, went on broadcast and stated that organizers genuinely need to move Eala to a bigger court because the sheer volume of fans flooding the grounds has become a legitimate safety concern. A safety concern at a practice session for a player ranked 32nd in the world. That is exactly where we are with Alex Eala at Indian Wells 2026. And the people who convince themselves that the Dubai phenomenon was a one-tournament story, they're having a very uncomfortable week.
We're not concerned about anyone else right now. It's Alex Eala time. This is Alex Eala's moment. Our days, our dinners, our evenings are fixated on when she's playing. That's real tennis fandom right there. Love it.
This is so great for tennis in general.
Yeah.
I think having players like Alex out there, and she's so gracious to all her fans. She spends time with her fans, signs the autographs, takes the photos, and really just shows the Filipino community that it is all about the Philippines. And I still carry that flag with me no matter where I go across the world. And such a young woman at that has that wisdom of just what it means to play for her country.
Only 20 years old, such maturity, already a hero to her entire nation. I mean, it's basically Manny Pacquiao and Alex Eala, right? I mean, that's it. That's it. That's who they're looking up to.
Let's go back to Dubai, because that's where the blueprint for everything currently unfolding in California was first written. After the Dubai Tennis Championships, tournament director Salah Talik gave an interview that stopped the tennis world in its tracks. He confirmed that every single match involving Eala was completely sold out, not well attended, not heavily ticketed.
Gone.
His framing was precise and deliberate. People were desperately trying to get tickets, and there were none left. Then he added the line that made everyone stop scrolling. In his entire tenure running the tournament since 2019, an event that has hosted world number ones and defending Grand Slam champions, he had never witnessed anything like it. Not the biggest crowd he'd seen. Not a great atmosphere. Something unprecedented. Those are meaningfully different statements, and he chose the stronger one because it was accurate. So, what was Eala actually doing on court during all of this? She defeated world number 7 Jasmine Paolini of Italy in the round of 32, her first top 10 win of 2026, then pushed deep into the quarterfinals before falling to world number 4 Coco Gauff, 6-0, 6-2. The scoreline against Gauff looked lopsided on paper. But the journey to that match told a completely different story about where Eala's game currently sits and how rapidly she is developing. She arrived in Dubai off the back of a 10-6 record for 2026, with semifinals in Auckland and quarterfinals across multiple tournaments already stacking up. Those results pushed her to a career-high ranking of 31 in the world, enough to break into the top 32 seedings at Indian Wells and earn a first-round bye for the first time in her career at a WTA 1000 event. A first-round bye is a privilege earned through ranking, and it reflects how much ground she has covered in a remarkably short stretch of professional tennis. Now she's in California, and the ticket situation has followed her from the UAE with zero reduction in intensity and some additional fuel from the local geography. California is home to the largest Filipino population in the entire United States, close to 2 million people. These are not fans who need to book international flights and clear customs. They're already there, already mobilized, and they descended on the Indian Wells tennis garden with a volume and energy the ground staff was simply not prepared for. The fans pressing through fences at practice court 6 weren't doing so because they couldn't get match tickets. They were doing it because they wanted to be as close to her as physically possible at any point during the tournament, under any circumstances. That level of devotion doesn't come from casual interest. It comes from a fan base that has been watching this specific player's story develop for years and feels personally invested in every point she plays. Broadcast analysts discussed this live on air, and one of them put a question into the conversation that has since taken over the tennis world. Could Alex Eala already be the biggest draw in women's tennis globally right now? The response from his co-analyst was not hedged. He described venues in Australia and Dubai as standing room only, called the atmosphere around her matches insane and massive, and then compared the effect she's having to what Jannik Sinner's rise did on the men's side. Except the analysts covering Eala are now saying what she's generating is actually bigger. Bigger than Sinner's moment in Miami. That comparison is being made on air by people who cover the sport professionally. And when someone asks directly whether she's a bigger draw right now than Aryna Sabalenka or Coco Gauff, the two players most people would have named without hesitation as the sport's biggest attractions, the answer was yes. The people who want to argue with that answer should probably explain the sold-out practice courts first. Now, let's talk about Martina Navratilova, because her comments on Eala are the part of the story that deserves the most careful attention. Navratilova has won 18 Grand Slam singles titles. She won back-to-back women's events at Indian Wells itself at ages 33 and 34. She has watched this sport evolve across 5 decades, from Chrissy Evert to Steffi Graf to Serena Williams. When she speaks about a rising player, her assessment carries a kind of authority that is genuinely rare in the modern tennis commentary ecosystem, where everyone has a platform and opinions are cheap. Navratilova sat down with the WTA's official platform for a Sunshine Swing preview ahead of the 2026 BNP Paribas Open. When Eala's name came up, she laughed before she even started speaking. Those who follow Navratilova closely will tell you that laugh is not dismissive. It's the laugh of someone who recognizes something genuinely difficult to categorize. She called Eala crafty. She noted the left-handedness as a genuine tactical weapon and said she uses her variety in a way that causes real problems for opponents. Then she pointed to the ceiling on Eala's potential and compared the cultural phenomenon building around her to Manny Pacquiao and said Eala's ceiling is actually higher. Higher than Pacquiao's ceiling. From Martina Navratilova. On the WTA's own platform. About a 20-year-old ranked 32nd in the world. But being Navratilova, she didn't stop at the praise. She went directly into the honest assessment of where Eala still has work to do, and she was specific. The serve. That is the area she identified as the biggest limitation right now. She said Eala needs a bigger serve with more kick, and acknowledged that her slight build makes it physically harder to generate the kind of pace that top 10 players use to control matches from the very first shot. Here's why that assessment matters more than it might initially sound. Navratilova didn't question Eala's shot selection. She didn't raise concerns about her movement, her court sense, her ability to compete mentally against big names, or her decision-making under pressure. She identified one specific technical gap, the serve, and framed it as a physical development question rather than a strategic or mental limitation. That kind of targeted, precise criticism from someone with Navratilova's eye for the game is actually the highest compliment she could have offered alongside it. She's essentially saying everything else is already functioning at a level worth taking seriously. Fix the serve, and the conversation changes completely, where she explicitly warned Sabalenka, Swiatek, and Goff that the circuit is changing around them. Players like Eala represent a generation that arrives with tactical clarity, studies opponents methodically, and walks onto the court against established names without the psychological weight of intimidation. That is a structural shift Navratilova is identifying, not a hot take about one player's good season, but a broader observation about how the next wave is arriving. Now, let's look at the specific pressure Eala is carrying into Indian Wells, beyond the crowd situation and the weight of expectation. She made a stunning semi-final run at the Miami Open in 2025, defeating players ranked significantly above her, including Grand Slam champions Madison Keys and Yelena Ostapenko. That Miami run generated a substantial point haul. Those points now need to be defended. If her Indian Wells campaign falls short of what she achieved in Miami last year, the ranking drop hits at exactly the moment when the top 20 is within reach for the first time in her career. A deep run here, quarterfinals or beyond, could push her into the top 20. And that number changes everything. It changes her seedings at Grand Slams. It changes the draws she enters. It shifts the narrative from breakthrough story to established force. And it moves the conversation from, is she the biggest draw despite being ranked outside the top 30? to, is she the biggest draw? Full stop? The Indian Wells draw is not kind on paper, but it is far from impossible. A win against Diana Yastremska in the round of 64 opened up the possibility of a rematch with Goff in the third round, the same Goff who beat her 6-0, 6-2 in Dubai. Beyond that, the bracket presents Jasmine Paolini as a potential quarterfinal opponent, the same player Eala already defeated in Dubai for her first top 10 win of the season. The path is difficult. It is also navigable for a player who has already proven she can beat top 10 competition on big stages this year. She's also competing in the doubles draws alongside Eva Liss, the world number 18, the same partnership that reached the semifinals in Auckland back in January. Competing deep in both singles and doubles simultaneously across 2 weeks in the California desert tests physical conditioning at a level that reveals exactly where a player's body is. A player who can go deep in both brackets without fading is a player who has invested seriously in physical preparation. Every indication from her 2026 season so far suggests she has done exactly that. Christopher Eubank's safety concern about the practice court situation is the detail that crystallizes everything happening here into one clear image. A former ADP professional making a logistical argument to tournament organizers about court assignments for a WTA player who does not yet have a main tour title to her name. The gap between her ranking and her real-world impact has become one of the most genuinely unusual storylines in recent tennis history. And it is playing out live at one of the sport's most prestigious venues. The Indian Wells Tennis Garden broke its own all-time attendance record last year, 54,268 fans across 15 days. Eala wasn't even in the draw. She wasn't in the conversation. Now she's here as a seeded player for the first time at a WTA 1000 event, and fans are pressing through fences at practice courts before a single match has been played. Navratilova laughed when Eala's name came up. The tournament director in Dubai ran out of tickets. Broadcast analysts are comparing the phenomenon to the biggest crowd moments in recent men's tennis. And a former ADP professional is calling for bigger courts on safety grounds. The madness is real. The demand is verified. And the tennis underneath all of it is good enough to back every bit of it up. That is the full picture of what Alex Eala is doing to Indian Wells 2026 and what Martina Navratilova actually said about her that the tennis world is still processing. If this fired you up, hit that like button and drop your prediction in the comments below. And if you're not subscribed yet, do it now. This story is far from over.